Ukrainian forces say that they're continuing to advance on the northern and southern flanks of the city of Bakhmut in an attempt to encircle and trap the Russian troops inside, just days after Moscow claimed to have finally captured it through 8 months of grinding warfare. And the developments are now giving both sides reasons to claim that momentum is in their favor, in a landscape Ukraine's President Zelensky has recently compared to the atomic bombing of Hiroshima. This was video released by Russia's Wagner mercenary group over the weekend, claiming to show its forces raising their flags in the rubble. Reuters was able to verify the drone views, but not when it was filmed. Ed Arnold is with the Royal United Services Institute think tank in London.
It looks like Bakhmut is still contested, but ultimately speaking, you need to see the battle in a wider picture, that the Russians have pushed everything they had at it since August, and they've only just sort of captured the town. But equally, when you look at the imagery, I mean, there's nothing left of the town. It's a very insignificant point on the broader map, and actually what's really been it's all been about is to try and fix each fort so that they can't fight in other places within Ukraine.
Meanwhile, in another mocking public statement against Russia's regular military establishment, the Wagner Group's head, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has repeated his vow to pull his mercenaries out of the city starting on May 25th, handing over control to government forces. He's accusing the military of abandoning the flanks even as his mercenaries advanced, which the defense ministry denies. The coming weeks will show just how much the massive losses of life in Bakhmut have impacted the wider war.
Email exchanges from inside the BBC, they talk about the risk of violating Indian laws. It's easier to rake up the freedom of speech debate, but does it give anyone a free pass to knowingly violate the law? America supports India because it needs India's support in return. And India is working with the US because it suits India's interests. This is how geopolitics works. Last night, he diffused a crisis with his defense minister. But today, Netanyahu was confronted with a new problem. His cabinet seems to have rebelled against him. The UK is looking at the Indian subcontinent to fill its coffers. That India seems to be negotiating from a position of power, like a partner and not a former colony.
And there they go. It looks like
The US and Russia are dangerously close to an armed conflict. This year, 2023, New Delhi will be the capital of global diplomacy. For a country as diverse as ours, with 88% of the population illiterate, it was a very big deal to write a constitution, and that too, the world's largest. Meanwhile, if we may, here's a Republic Day gift from India for the BBC. A list of suggestions for the BBC for their upcoming documentaries. Number 1. The Kohinoor and the colonial loot. Number 2, an outdated monarchy and unhealthy obsession with the royals. Number 3, racism in 2023. We're waiting.